Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Off Topic, my baby podcast that is just now coming along. I'm so excited you are back joining me today. And let me just say, I released my first episode last week, and I'm just a normal college student from like the Midwest who like lives in Arizona, goes to school out here. I'm not an influencer by any means, and that pod got like over 200 views or listens in the first 24 hours it was published. So that's just insane to me. Thank you so much if you listened to it. If you're listening to this, even like, and you didn't listen to the other one, that's completely fine. It's so like honoring almost that people like care what I have to say because, like I said, I'm not the president, I'm not an influencer, I'm not famous. Like, no one has like an obligation to listen to what I'm saying whatsoever. It's not like you need to be educated on my opinions, but the fact that people give a fuck about what I have to say is just awesome, honestly. So thank you so much. I really just put my heart and soul into this because I've never felt like I've never found a creative niche that I really clicked and like loved until I found podcasting and kind of started listening to it. And if you listen to my first podcast, I kind of talked about how I have been meaning to do it for years and knew I was very interested in podcasting, but just now started my own. So anyway, yeah, you guys don't owe me anything, but it means so much that a lot of people have reached out and were impressed and did enjoy the podcast because I wouldn't even say that's one of my best. It's only my first one. So anyway, we are back this week, guys, and I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy because it was just a little boost I needed to really get into podcasting because it's like I think we're all more critical of ourselves than other people are of us. So my aunt, I had her look and kind of like critique my podcast before I published it because she has her own podcast and she copyrights. And she was like, "Oh, babe, it's amazing." And of course, she's like my aunt. So I was like, "Okay, do you have aunt bias? Like, don't lie to me. Don't tell me it's amazing if it's not." Because I'm kind of a perfectionist. But yeah, so I was just like being kind of hard on myself about it, but I just love that people like the chill conversation style. And now that like I've gotten such positive feedback from peers and like people, I value their opinions like so highly. It just is amazing. And so it inspires me to create even more, even though I already enjoy it and I would do it out of pure enjoyment anyway. Um, yeah, but anyway, we're already 3 minutes into this pod. So today, guys, what I wanted to talk to you guys about is a subject that has been really hard for me lately. And probably a lot of you as well, if you're one of my viewers that is around my age or a college student. But it definitely continues throughout your life. I wanted to talk about friendships, even relationships. Relationships could easily be looped into this too, various types of relationships, and how it is completely normal to outgrow people and outgrow a certain group, a certain vibe, a certain energy. And no one wants to talk about this because it's upsetting, because it is upsetting. Like, for example, when I was in like middle school, I had a friend group that was like way too big. It was like 10 girls or something. And it was just so hard for all of us to hang out together. And we're all at that age where we're like jealous and like fear of missing out. And we're all like 13-year-olds. So like everyone's dramatic. Everyone's making it a big deal if they weren't invited to the hangout, whatever. Anyway, you kind of get into high school and you figure out who your real friends are. And then that group kind of like split up and like people just found like other groups they kind of belonged into like better. Um, so that's just like a little example. And obviously, when you drift from your best friends when you're like 13, it's not going to be as deep as like having a lifelong best friend and then like drifting from them when you're like an adult. But my point is, most people go through that phase where they have different friend groups when they're younger, and then you kind of weed out the friends you're not as close with, or just not even that they're bad people, but that you just don't have as many of the same interests or values. And then you usually find people more similar to you, and those become normally your close friends. That kind of just happens as we grow into the adult versions of who we are, and we kind of pick, who we want to hang around with. So, for example, like I remember being in middle school and early high school and having a lot more guy friends, first of all, because it was just like, I don't know, I wasn't really educated on when you're young, when you're like, I want to say like, I didn't get into like political stuff till I was like 15, 16. And that's like still young, but like, I mean, I'm glad I did. I want to educate myself. But I was hanging around a lot of people who just like did not share my same morals and values. And I probably didn't completely weed out people that like didn't fit into my life until almost my junior or senior year. And then I kind of had like a closer clique of friends. And I still have like a very close group of girlfriends at home. And I have amazing friends I've made down here in Tempe. Bottom line is, as you get older, you're going to outgrow people. And that's just sad. So no one wants to admit to that. Everyone wants to be like, oh, we'll be best friends forever, this, that, whatever. Like, we'll date forever. Like, no, babe, no. Like, this is also why I'm such a big advocate of like, do not have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever when you're young and just like date them forever. Like, it's fine if you want to date young. Like, I had my first boyfriend when I was like fucking 12. Like, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like real. Like, I don't count it as a relationship. But if you want to go date people. But so many times I see people get like, I don't know, settled down almost in like their freshman year of high school. And then they just never know anyone else. It's like, you don't even know if you're gay. Like, I have this conversation all the time. Sexuality is so fluid and growing is so fluid. Like, you should never try to confine yourself to a box, in my opinion. Like, society always wants to put us in a box, like you're either the stereotype you're like a hoe and you're like hooking up with all these people in high school, which makes you a hoe, and you probably like smoke a little bit of weed, which also makes you a hoe. Or you're like Virgin Mary and you're settled down with like your boyfriend that you've had for like all of middle school, and people think you're weird and like don't invite you to the parties because you're like too innocent. But then this girl that has like other people talking shit about how she's a hoe, she's invited to the parties, but then people like might not want to hook up with her because they think she's a hoe. You know what I'm saying? It goes on forever. Like, holy shit. Like, there's just all these stereotypes when you're in those like young, when everyone gives a fuck, when everyone is so nosy in other people's business. That's what I really noticed about being young. Like, before we grew into like, and I'm still very young, like I'm a young adult, but before I was like ever an adult, oh my God, like early like grade school and stuff, people just all they want to do is compare themselves, talk shit on one another. Anyway, so that's, and I did it too. Like, thank God I grew up. But my bottom line is, you are meant to outgrow people. I think humans should experience as many other humans as possible. And that's not to say in a sexual way, like you should experience like that. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like in general. Like, for example, today, Izzy and I, one of my best friends, hi Izzy, love you. We got coffee this morning when I was dropping her off at her place. And we literally like go through the drive-thru at Dutch Bros. And if you go to Dutch Bros, I mean, they're awesome. The staff there is always so sweet. And like, I know that's the whole point. Like, they're supposed to have great energy. So anyway, we get to the window to pick up our drinks, and this guy had said something about how he was from Ohio and I'm from Kansas City and Izzy's from Chicago. So we were like, oh my God, Midwest. And then just started talking about moving to Arizona and how he liked it, and just had like an amazing interaction. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not saying you should go up to like homeless people and like start conversations, guys. Like, be on your defense. Don't get me wrong. But it's like safe, sweet situations. I feel like you should never even think twice about like talking to people, which is so much easier said than done, because I'm a very extroverted person, honestly, but like I also am a very anxious person. So it kind of doesn't, it's like a weird balance, I find. But I even think about classes that I took this semester and in college, at least in my experience, people are a lot more minding their own business because we're all adults, thank God. But it's also like, I feel like in a lot of college classes, you do less of those activities where the teachers promote you like interacting with the other students and like getting their numbers and like building relationships or like just talking. That's a lot less common in college, I want to say. Obviously, it depends what your major is and stuff. But like in my public speaking class, we got a good amount of talking in because it's a public speaking class. And I literally like have Instagram friends from that class now. And like, they're so beautiful. And like, I just love to like hype them up. Like, it's awesome. And it's like, we literally just like talked in that class, you know what I'm saying? And that's just like more human experience. This could even go for like my psychology class. My professor was this super sweet woman, and she's been teaching psych for like 30 plus years. She would always encourage us to just talk to those around us. And it was so easy. Okay, guys, because here's the thing. We get in our heads and we're like, oh, this is awkward. Like, those activities where you have to go up to another person that you like don't know and, like check off a box or like do some activity in class. Like, we've all had to do those. so anxiety ridden because we're all like, oh my God, I don't know these people and this is awkward. And like, what if I say something weird? Like, whatever. But then if you step back and just like look at it as a whole, it's like, dude, everyone is doing that. Everyone is scared. Everyone, no one knows you. You don't know anyone. We're all just humans floating on this world. Like sometimes I see these beautiful TikToks and it's just like humans being humans. And it's like people dancing at a bar or dancing, you know, on the lake in the ocean. I love those videos. I'm like, this is awesome because even like yesterday, for example, sorry guys, I'm kind of getting on like a tangent for my intro, but I'm really just trying to like prove to you guys that it's like so much easier to talk to people and like form new friendships and relationships. And we just really get anxious about it in our head. So anyway, I went to like one of my friends going away parties. She's my friend too. Love you, Hallie. Love you, Mara. I met her roommates and stuff and just like other friends that she had invited. And obviously I've only lived out here for 9 months. I don't know that many people in Arizona. But like, damn, I better get to it because I love the people down here, honestly. Like, I eat them all up. Even my servers at restaurants, I'm like, I love you. Like, I want to hang out with you. Like, and so anyway, I got to meet her roommates and literally just like ate them both up. But like, her one friend I had like an amazing conversation with literally for like an hour. And then when we left this party, one of my friends was like, damn, like you and Caroline like talked for like a whole hour. And I was like, no, we did. Like it was awesome. I just love getting to know new people. And you never know how well you'll connect with someone until you talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Because from just looking at these women at this party, for example, I was like, okay, they're all like beautiful women, like whatever. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Like, but I could never like just look at them in a lineup and be like, I would be the closest with this girl based on looks. And like, I probably would vibe with this girl. No, looks don't mean shit, honestly. Like, they don't. Like, sometimes they help, like, you know, like people have similar vibes, but like, just talk to people, honestly. Like, even if it is a bad interaction, because we've all had like bad interactions with people, especially like in public, like at a restaurant, at a bar, like whatever. At least you like had an experience. I don't know. I think life is all about experiencing and just like feeling things. Like we've all heard it's better to feel something or like feel sad even than feel nothing at all, because at least you can feel things and you can have the human experience fully. So I think that's a beautiful quote. But anyway, this all to be said, I want to talk about how it's normal to outgrow people. And I started it off with all these little random spurts of friendships that I've like leaped into and like made, because the world is a scary place, don't get me wrong, but there is so much beauty in it. And when you step back and like realize that, it just makes you a happier person. And then you just want to be you just want to be like, oh, like you're beautiful, I love your hair, I love your bracelet. Like even the guy that gave us our coffee this morning, like I mean, he was just like some white guy, like I don't know, like I didn't have much to say, but like I was like, thank you so much, like you're so sweet, like have an awesome day. You know what I'm saying? Like just be nice. Like even when I'm on the phone with my bank, like literally you never know how much you'll fuck with someone. Like I swear to God. Like okay, we've all heard that quote that's like two people like talking to each other normally. It's like a cartoon quote. I don't know if that makes sense. Like you see it like as an Instagram art thing, and it'll be one person talking to another and it'll be like, you've changed so much. And then the other person responds, we're supposed to. I think that's beautiful. It's like the shortest little interaction ever. And whoever, like they said what's needed to be said. Like that's the truth. I think loving yourself is so important, but loving yourself comes way easier when you grow into yourself. Like you let yourself do what you want to do, what feels right for you, respecting your own boundaries, your morals, your values, your emotions, and your interests, you know, like kind of doing whatever makes you happy. And you should never base those things off of other people ever either. Which kind of goes back to like why I don't think you should be in a long-term relationship at a young age, because you're not thinking for yourself. You're going to think about that person with like every decision you make. And I think that's very unhealthy. I think it's so important to learn how to make decisions for ourselves and like completely by ourselves. Because I was having a conversation with a friend about this last night, but even like your parents, everyone's parental situation is very different, obviously, but you could grow up with like an amazing couple of like loving parents, but you could grow up into your like adult self and then realize that they do some things that you're not quite okay with. And I think we all know what I'm talking about. For example, I have several friends that were raised in Catholic families. went to private school, stuff like that. And there's so many times I've had conversations with them and they've been like, no, yeah, I definitely like used to just adopt my parents' values and didn't think for myself. And then as you grow up and you learn more in high school and you get educated, you get involved, you go to clubs, you go out, like school clubs, not like clubbing, but anyway, like you just like do more things in the real world, you'll gain your own values and your own understanding of things, and you can like look at the law for yourself, you can read about things. And I have a lot of friends that have just like literally told me they just won't bring up politics around their parents, or they're like put them in their place, and I totally get it. Luckily my parents are pretty on the same level as me for the most part, but like there's still been times that a parent of mine has said something and I've been like, no, no. And that's like the reason I'm talking about this is because it is so important to grow up and realize, because normally your parents are the people you look up to the most, right? Like you go to them for everything. They are like God, whatever, like the higher power in your eyes until you like really grow into an adult. Like when you're little, most people like look up to their parents and they're all you know. That's why like when there's bad parents out there that like condition their kids, it's like a whole thing because the kid thinks that's normal because that's the way that they were raised and they don't know anything else. So anyway, this is just to say that doing what you want and what you feel is right and not just caving and like doing whatever your parents or your peers, like your best friends, believe. Like outgrowing your friends and outgrowing, even like not like outgrowing, I mean you can outgrow your parents, don't get me wrong, but outgrowing people's values, like that's fine. That's literally fine. Like you're supposed to be different. You are not supposed to be copy and paste of your mom, your dad, your uncle, your best friend, your cousin. You should not be the same. You should be yourself because you're not the same. And if you decide for yourself, oh, I kind of don't fuck with this group of people because they kind of say things about like gay people that are like not great, like kind of suspicious, kind of weird, or these people just like talk to their friends in a rude way and I don't really like their vibe. Me personally, I'm a big energy person. So I can walk in a room and know. I can walk in a room and know if you're bad energy. I'm so serious because you can feel that shit in the air. But anyway, you need to go where you feel like your opinions and your values are either respected at least or reciprocated. And that'll help you find the people you're meant to be around a lot. For example, I have several friends from home that I love to death. Like, cannot wait to see them. I'm actually going home tomorrow and I'm going to see them all. Love you all. But some of them are just not, like, don't have the exact same, like, interests as me and, you know, the same, like, social agenda or, like, idea of, like, a fun night. Like, sometimes our ideas just, like, differ and, like, our interests differ. And sometimes they don't. Like, obviously, at our core, my friends and I are very similar, have very similar values. You know, and we're closer than most people ever would be in a lot of ways. But I've made a lot of friends down here that I can literally like are just exactly where I'm at, if that makes sense. And I think it's because when I'm referring to my friend group at home, at least, we all came together sometime around middle school, usually, is like when I met them. Like, again, some friends have like come and gone, but my current best friends, I've usually known most of them for years now. And I think we came together at a time when I obviously wasn't the same person as I am right now. I was 14, I was insecure, I was young, I was dumb, I was naive, I was letting boys treat me like shit. So it's definitely like they've grown too, obviously. Like, I'm not saying that like they are still stuck in like the seventh grade or anything. But what I'm saying is you sometimes you meet people and then you literally naturally will just grow apart because you're growing and you're not the same human. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't try to be. For example, like one of my best friends, Kennedy, I know she won't like mind if I talk about this. Like, we're very similar at our core, both very liberal leaning. Like, we both did like debate in high school. We both loved English. We've been great friends since we were literally 13, like 12 years old. But like she like loves country music, you know, and she like loves her sorority and like that's awesome. That's so cute. Like I love that for Kennedy, but like I'm probably not going to her sorority like formal with her and like I'm not going to go to the country concert with her. You know what I'm saying? And like I love Kennedy. Like we'll go get coffee, like we'll go do whatever. But like in my day-to-day life, for example, like when I'm down here in Arizona, I've really grown to love the concept of like you only live once and like saying yes to a lot of things. I think it's so important to say no, obviously. Like respect yourself, respect your boundaries. But we also don't talk about how important it is to say yes and just like enjoy your life. As long as again you have like your boundaries set and stuff. And do whatever is like best for you mentally and physically. But I have a few friends down here that I'm like, do you guys want to literally like go jump in the pool, like go work out in the morning, then go jump in the pool, and then go for like a run around the park, and then like get coffee. And because I just kind of always need to be doing something at all times, and I have friends that are like completely down at all times, any hour, and I just love that. I love that. And that's not to say I love them more than the next person. Like that's why you have different friends for different reasons. Like my friend Kennedy, I could go to her about anything whenever I needed it, and like she's the mom friend in our friend group. Like she's always been the motherly friend. I love her. She's like a comfort friend of mine, always has been, always will be. But again, it just shows like people grow in different directions. I hope she like doesn't mind I'm using you for this. Love you, Kennedy. It's just because I love you and I've grown up with you. But yeah, no, she's like amazing, but also was like Little Miss relationship. And like I've been there before too, but like I'm more like, no, fuck it. And she's like the nice one. She's like the people pleaser. Like as much as like we complement each other really well, we're very different. And I think that is why we have a great friendship, because we pick up where the other one leaves off. Like she'll calm me down if like, I'm like really mad about something. She's like all zen and like cute and sweet and quiet. And then if someone's like walking all over her, I'll like beat the shit. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not beating the shit out of anyone. I love my friends though. But no, we just complement each other very well. But we have also grown in completely different ways. We have grown in some of the same ways, some different. But I think it's amazing because you can have and keep great long-term friendships, and you don't have to be the exact same person you were, and your friendship does not have to be the exact same way it was. In fact, I would even argue that my relationship with a lot of my like older friends that I've had for more years is healthier now than it was, for sure. And we could have technically hung out way more in like middle school, high school, and been like physically like on top of each other, like going to parties all the time, like driving each other everywhere, whatever. But now that we like literally only see each other like a few times a year because we go to college in different states and stuff, it like lets us take time to grow apart and like not even like affect each other's growth. It's like we go to completely different groups of people and friends and work, and we grow on our own, but then we come together for the holidays or whatever, and me and my hometown friends are still close as can be, but we're also changing, and we also love to update each other on that change. For example, my friend Sarah, I'm just name dropping all my friends, but I love them. So Sarah texted us in our group chat and was like, we all need to make a slideshow of what we've like been through this college year so we can do slideshow night. Because obviously we text a lot and we all keep in touch, but like a lot happens when you're gone at school. So it's like we need to fully like tell a story time to one another. So like we're going to be updating each other, and I don't know. It's just really beautiful. It's really beautiful that we can be apart for so long, but still be like closer than ever. Cause it almost makes you appreciate your hometown friends, not like always your hometown. It almost makes you appreciate your like long-term, like steady, like stable friendships more when you like get away from them for a while, because you're like, like, cause for example, I've made amazing friends down here at Arizona State, but I've also seen and like heard awful things about like people's roommates, their friendships. I mean, I've experienced like some bad friendship stuff. Luckily, I'm just really picky about my people. That's another thing. But the bottom line is you are supposed to grow. We are all in different environments. I'm over here in Arizona. My best friend was in Colorado. Kennedy's in Arkansas. Sarah goes to Mizzou. Claire goes to Tampa. My friend group is spread the fuck out. We should all be doing different things technically. Like obviously on the same kind of level. Like we're all probably going out a little bit, probably drinking a little bit, smoking a little bit, whatever, college stuff. But at the same time, like we're each picking up different interests, different values, different friends from different countries, different states. You're learning new stuff. You're traveling. You're deciding what you want to do about your degree, which can also affect like your life and your job and like your outlook on things. And maybe you don't want to get tattoos because you want to go into law, but like all your friends do is get tattoos and blah, blah, blah. I love tattoos and I love law, but I don't think I'm going to do law, guys. I just need to be a famous podcaster. The truth about it is, I would be so concerned if me and my friends were exactly the same. Like, and would be awful, honestly, because it would just be self-destructive. Like, I cannot imagine me having another 4 of me. I love my friends because we're all so different and that's so necessary. But on another level, um, some people are not going to be okay with your change. And that goes back to being fine with outgrowing people. I know plenty of people that just, I was talking to a friend about this earlier too. You should only want to be where your energy is reciprocated, honestly, or at least treasured. You should never want to be somewhere where you feel like your energy is not respected or like valued. And I know so many people, including myself, that are very, very, very full of life. And you should never let anyone dim that. I think it is so precious, so precious. And life is so precious that I think we should only be spending our time with people that respect who we are and our growth. And if they don't, then outgrow them, babe. Outgrow them, babe. Like, I literally, here, wait. I've been screenshotting like quotes to talk about in this podcast, like literally off TikTok. This quote I screenshot said, when you were so afraid of being alone, but now you're just afraid of having the wrong people as company. So true. I would rather sit alone for like a year, like on my ass, than be surrounded by a group of 10 people, but 10 of the wrong people for a year. 100%. Even 3 of the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely feel when your energy is not valued. And it's just like not a fun experience. Like if you walk into a room and you feel like no one's that happy that you're there, why would you want to be there? Just because it's comfortable, just because those people have been your friends for 5 years? Babe, maybe they're down here and you're up here. Okay, this girl posted, me worried my life is falling apart, but then I remember my new life will cost me my old life. Wow. Wow, guys. I love that one. Like I was like, save TikTok. Your new life will cost you your old life. In like a good way. Like, you know, like you have to pay, like you have to like, it's like almost like a form of like currency. Like you have to give away your old life to like gain a new life, to like grow into that higher self, grow into your future self. And I love that. I love that so much because there's just been so many times in my life where I've been so uncertain about various things and I just have to trust in like the universe or whatever your God is. I'm personally more spiritual, agnostic, but I would just like trust in the universe and hope things go my way. But I mean, like, I'd be like in tears, like things just weren't going my way. Like my friendships just fell a little off. Like I wasn't sure where I was going in the future. And then literally every time I just keep doing what's best for me and taking like one little step forward. It's just like step by step, day by day. Literally good things will come. Like the right things will come, even if they're not innately good. Like a breakup, for example, maybe a breakup isn't innately good. Like we think of like breakup as like negative, I guess, normally. But fuck that boy. Fuck that boy. Like, what if you needed to break up with him so bad? And then you get into your dream school after that. You just start on this like uphill trajectory and you're just slaying. You're winning. You're winning in every category. Fuck that boy, fuck that girl, leave them. You know what I'm saying? It's just like also I'm going to do a whole podcast on how things shouldn't inherently be negative because then it's like naturally makes us more sad. Like, for example, I know so many breakups and like divorces even that were so necessary. Like the couple was so unhappy, but people naturally just like don't, you know, they think divorce is like negative. Like, no. Have you guys seen those like Gen Z cakes that people get for like a divorce and it's like, congrats on your divorce? Babe, let's normalize that. Let's literally normalize that. Because again, in a divorce, you could totally outgrow your significant other. Like my parents, for example, I don't care. I'm going to use them for an example. They divorced when I was like 7 years old, probably. And now that we're like on the same like adult like level and stuff, I'm like, why the hell did you guys ever get married? Like, obviously I didn't know them before I was born. So, you know, I'm sure they like clicked in the early 2000s or whatever. But like genuinely, like my parents are like the 2 most opposite people you could ever put in the same room. And if they were still together, my house would have like burnt down. Like someone would have killed someone. Thank God my parents aren't together. Not to mention, I can speak for every kid with divorced parents or parents that should be divorced. 2 houses separate are so much better than a house that is just divided as fuck on the inside. Like just bickering, bitching all the time, screaming. That's the worst environment. And again, it's like that just is such a sign of outgrowth when you're bickering with someone all the time. Like sometimes you cannot bring someone to your level mentally. They just won't grasp it. And that's okay. I've learned as someone who has a really old soul for being such a young person, that mentally a lot of people just are not where I'm at. And that's not to sound conceited at all or like egotistical. I have a lot of friends that are the exact same way. It's just mature. It's just maturity. It's like how fast you get there. And I feel like I had to grow up pretty young. So it's just like I definitely have higher standards and I'm not going to put up with people's bullshit because I like have already done that before and I realized like that wasn't the way to go. I don't know. My motto is like you should do everything for yourself. Like this is your life. You get to pick who's in it. You get to pick who's right to be in it or not. And outgrowth doesn't have to be like an aggressive, like sad thing. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, I outgrew my ex best friend. Like I texted her like this long paragraph and then we started fighting back and forth and then we blocked each other. Blah, blah, blah. That's not, no one would even use the word outgrowth in that sentence because outgrowth is not a negative connotation. Outgrowth is kind of just like emotion you're going through. Like it's almost just like what, a verb? Like it's not like a breakup. Like breakup, people are like, whoa, like you'd almost call that a friendship breakup. That's not a friendship outgrowth. When you're outgrowing a friendship, it's like, I still love her, him, whoever. I have respect for them, but we're not in the same place mentally. And, you know, it's just better if we take a break. And maybe you still fucking see that friend like once every 2 months or something. It doesn't mean you have to completely like cut them off. So yeah, that's definitely like a big thing I want to emphasize. And a lot of people are just, especially in the phase that I'm in my life, being such a young adult and just kind of to trying to grow my like goals and aspirations and work towards like my future and what I want that to look like. This is such like a fragile age that everyone is in such a different space. I know people my age that are pregnant. I know people my age that don't go to school. I know people my age that work full time, people that work part time, people that just go to community college, people that like do none of the above. Like maybe they're just traveling the world. Like there is a bunch of different places you could be in physically, mentally, emotionally. So whenever me and a friend or whoever don't see eye to eye, that is not a problem, babe. That is just normal. That is just so normal. I am a very motivated, driven person, and I kind of have a pretty good idea of what I want to do with my life, and I'm 19. That does not happen at 19 for most people. For fuck's sake, like my aunt and my mom have both told me a million times that they didn't know what they wanted to do until they were in like their very late 20s. So I completely understand when I'm all on my high horse about going internships and like doing this and socializing and like getting out there. And then my friends, some of them are like, no, like, why would I want to do that? Like, even in high school, for example, I was involved in like 7 clubs or some crazy shit. But I mean, that will bring you really good people because they're people that are like kind of on the same level as you, at least a little bit, if they're like interested in the same thing, like public speaking, like politics, you know, like I found really good friends through similar groups because we were kind of working towards the same end goal a little bit. Whereas right now, again, it's so diverse. Like people are all over the place. Oh my God, guys, I literally just took a break from podcasting for like 5 hours and now I have to get back on track. Now continuing on the segment of how outgrowing people and cutting people off can be healthy and normal and necessary. Another quote I screenshot off a girl's TikTok. She said, pay attention to who always can't with you, but can with everyone else. And that is the truest shit ever. Because I know we've all had friendships or relationships before where everyone seems to know what's going on with each other and be updated on everyone's whereabouts except for you. And you see them post together, hang out, and you're just like never invited. And I'm not talking about just like if you're in a girl group of 6 girls and, you know, 2 of them hang out one time, 3 of them hang out the other time, whatever, your whole girl group, if your friend group's big, period, it's kind of hard to always, you know, align with people's schedules and have everyone hang out. But what I'm saying is, if it really is from your perspective that these friends are not reaching out to you like they seem to be reaching out to each other, and, you know, you've tried to hang out with them, you've tried to catch up with them, and they just kind of aren't into it, you can totally tell. Like, people will show you exactly who they are. But in our head, we get sad and we don't want to lose that friendship and we just reminisce about the good times. So we just tolerate some bullshit treatment from some of the people in our lives because of who they used to be, who we like used to really admire them as. And the sad part is some people grow in a positive direction and some people grow in a negative direction. And some people can grow in positive directions, but completely different directions. a lot of things can be true at once, guys. It's just so damn normal to cut people off. Like, I just want to normalize it. And it's not in a negative way. You hear cut someone off and you're like, ooh, damn, she cut you off? Like, ooh, you've been cut off? But sometimes it's necessary. So normally, yes, there's a negative connotation about divorce, breakups, an ending of a relationship, a distant friendship, a friendship growing apart. But little do we know, a lot of the times, maybe a friendship in your life was meant to distance itself. It was meant to fade away because maybe you became a way better, more confident version of yourself after that person left your life. Because maybe secretly they did have a bit of this negative energy, but you were just holding on to the friendship based on past memories and the comfort that you find in those stable relationships that you've had for a while. A comfortable situation does not mean it's a healthy situation by any means. I think that I learned that at a very young age when I would stay with the boys that I was dating as a young girl. And I knew it was wrong, like in my gut. Like, I've always had a very good intuition, and I would know something didn't feel right. I was having to sacrifice too much of myself, it was just unhealthy. But I would say I really wanted to have like a steady, stable relationship in my life, especially with men as I was growing up, because I wasn't close with my father until recently as a young adult. So I think growing up, I kind of like looked not to boys for like attention necessarily, but kind of just like stability. I felt like comfortable and more like mature and like grown, like kind of when I was in a relationship. And I think that's why I always ended up in one. But little did I know, I've now been single for probably like 9 months. And I am probably the happiest I've ever been. That doesn't mean I haven't been through a lot of shit and like had a rough time. But when you're alone, like I stated earlier, you are the only person that really matters, at least when you're like an adult. Obviously, when you're younger, your parents affect a lot of your decisions and stuff. But now it's like I have time to do my podcast and do whatever I want creatively. I don't have a significant other that I feel like I always need to like be hanging out with or giving attention to or like telling what I'm up to. I can go to parties, I can go to bars, I can do whatever I want. And not that I think you should have to report to someone in a relationship. I think when I'm in a relationship, I just prefer we trust one another and like update each other. But like, I don't need your location. I don't want to pry at all. But it is just like when you are dating someone, you feel like you owe them a lot of things that you don't owe people when they're just your friend. And I also think it's so important to just discover who you are and who you like and what you want out of a relationship at this time in your life, especially like your early 20s. I'm almost 20 kind of. I think it's a very important time in your life to be single and date and like figure out what you want, because I dated a lot when I was younger. That was kind of for the worst, kind of for the better. Like, I love who I am. I'm very happy with the knowledge I've retained from those interesting, hard experiences. But I also wouldn't like promote dating as a young person like to my kid if I like had one. But anyway, I learned what I did not want ever again in a relationship. And now my standards are like so high that I am just super picky. Like, I just don't think I'm going to find myself falling into a relationship anytime soon. And I'm really happy with that because I know where my boundaries lie, where my standards are. And like I said, I don't know, I just feel like it's a whole nother thing to deal with. It is. Like, I know that sounds kind of shitty, guys, but like, that's the truth. Like, when you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, is another thing you got to deal with because you're committing to them and saying, yes, I care about you. I love you. Like, I want you to be my boo, like loyal to each other, whatever. So yeah, you have to like update them and like take care of them and like buy them flowers and be good to them, or you should, or like, I don't know why you're dating. That's like another thing is like, I could easily like have a relationship. Like, it's not like I'm like unstable. It's more like I want to be the best, most accomplished, driven, like independent version of myself by the time I do find someone I actually want to date long term. And I'm not even talking about marriage because I don't even know if I want to get married one day, honestly, and that's a whole nother podcast. But in general, I'm just saying we obviously romanticize relationships like all the time. It's like, oh, boy meets girl, girl meets girl, boy meets boy, whoever, whatever relationship you're looking for. It's just romanticized on TikTok, on Instagram, on these like couples pages, on these like quote pages, like these famous couples. and celebrities that are dating. It's like you just see it everywhere. And it's just too consuming. Like I could talk about this for ages, but I would not want to date someone if I was not treating them the best that I could treat them. Because if I'm saying, yes, I want to be loyal to you and I like you enough to literally like date you and commit to you, I want to be like a damn good girlfriend. Like I don't want to just kind of half-ass it and like not really know if I'm sure about the relationship or if I still want to be single or if this will get in the way of my career. Oh, also another quote I always love to just say all the time is what's meant to be will be. And if you and someone are meant to be friends forever, you will be. But if you're not meant to be friends forever, something's going to happen, babe. So, then that's when we get into the like, oh, I've been trying to make plans with this friend of mine for 2 weeks and she either doesn't answer or she leaves me on red. Like, babe, that is the universe taking your hand and saying, dude, like she is not a good friend. She just like, shouldn't hold this much of a place in your life because I think you should prioritize people as much as they prioritize you. I think the feeling should always be mutual in order to keep like a healthy relationship or friendship. And like sadly, people will show you exactly who they are. Like I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If they're not texting you, they don't want to text you. And you can get into this and be like, oh, well, maybe they're just really anxious about texting you and, they've had like a really rough week and like whatever, but they do want to text you and blah, blah, blah. You could go down these rabbit holes. But guys, bottom line is priority. Like maybe like their fourth thought is that they'll text you, but like the first three thoughts are just like reasons why they like should not reach out to you. And they're like scared to, and they're too bitch to apologize. Like who knows what the situation is. But you guys get what I'm saying. Like if something needs to be done, it needs to be done or you should not continue that relationship. Like there's been relationships that I've had in my life where I'm like, I don't think I could really move on from this without a genuine like apology and a change in character, because I'm not just going to be like, oh yeah, your sappy apology that was like 30 seconds long is okay, I guess. And then you just continue to act the same and repeat the same cycle of negative actions and behaviors. Like, no. And again, some people that you used to love will grow up and be assholes. Like that's just like some humans are dicks, man. Like I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Like some people are not good people. Like that's why we have cops. That's why like murder exists. Like people are bad sometimes. But another thing I realized as a young woman who has had many great friendships with a bazillion different kinds of people over the last, 10 years, whatever. Some of them have been longer than others. Some of them have been shorter than others. But regardless, I learned this probably in the last year. I noticed that I was starting to hang out with people who were really just like inspiring me and really good for me and my mental health and just like literally on the same page as me about everything ever. I don't know how to explain that, but like sometimes you just meet people and you're like, oh, I just love you. And that's how I felt about some of my friends that I made towards the end of my high school career, kind of as I was being more adult, getting to like the college stage of my life, and the friends I'm still pretty close with. And I would just notice how light I felt around them and how I never felt judged. I just felt like I could be like a fucking weirdo at all times. I felt like we could go to each other for anything. And I feel like they would be there for me through everything. Like if it's my birthday, they're like doing some ridiculous shit for me. Like we're all hanging out and getting coffee that morning. We're texting each other all the time. We're sending each other weird TikToks. It's just like each person's energy is like the exact same for the most part. Most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously we have our off days, but like generally like the friend group like loves the friend group. I think if you are a friend in a friend group, you should all be actively participating around the same amount, or it's like, okay, well, then that just gets awkward and then other people start getting close and then you wonder why, but it's like, okay, well, you weren't talking to them, like whatever. But once you start hanging around people that you notice make you just feel the best ever, then when you are around people that are either lower energy or just maybe slightly negative or just maybe not even as positive and like, excited as your other friends to like be around you or do something with you and the other friends, whatever. You notice that. Like I am a very, very, very observant and intuitive person. Not to mention I like literally think I can like feel energy. So anyway, I have like definitely hung out with groups of people that I felt like this is amazing. Like, I feel high off of being around you guys, like, because I feel so happy and like cared for and like energized by you guys. And then you also have other people that are just so negative and like drain your social battery. And I try to avoid those, but obviously, some situations you can't. But the bottom line is you can literally, like, I don't know if you guys have ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Can't remember who it's by. I'm sorry. But my friend Lauren, hi, Lauren, love you, lended me that book a while ago. And I read it and it was just so interesting because it explains how the body will tell you someone's bad for you or like some situation is bad to be in before you even mentally think about it. Literally, your body will like get anxious, dizzy, nauseous, whatever. If you are around someone that like you're uncomfortable around, like makes you feel weird, makes you feel judged, you'll get sweaty, you'll get nervous. But it's like when you're around people that support you and love you and are true with you, you'll feel like relaxed, you'll feel calm, you'll feel mindful. Like it really is. I mean, you know how I say a lot of the time I'm going to say things are easier said than done, but this is one of those things that's just like easily done. Like you can feel it. You can literally feel it that people are good energy or not. But the bottom line is you do not have to be friends with everyone. You do not have to pretend to like everyone. I think that you should always be a kind human, unless you have a reason not to be for whatever reason. But being a kind human can also be along the lines of just like tolerating someone and being cordial. That does not mean you have to kiss their ass and be like a fake bitch. You should really just think about how precious life is and like our time here on earth and reflect on yourself as a person. And like, hopefully, I hope most of you are like good people. Like, I think I'm a pretty good friend. And at the end of the day, I want to like always feel like I'm being good to the people in my life and only invite people into my life that reciprocate that feeling. And I urge you all to do the same because literally time goes by so fast. And I know that's another fucking cliche. I'll use cliches if they're true, guys. Like, I don't care. But literally, time is so precious on this earth. Like, I am already almost 20. Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, I vividly remember being in the 6th grade. Like, it was yesterday, and that was almost half my life ago. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense, guys. I graduated a year ago from high school. What? What do you mean I'm already done with my freshman year of college? Like, this is absurd. I vividly remember moving to Arizona State and like bringing all my shit to Tempe. Like, it was literally yesterday. So the bottom line is go to that party, hang out with people that you wouldn't usually hang out with, go socialize, do whatever. But at the end of the day, the people that you should be hanging out closely with and like, valuing and inviting over for dinner and doing things with, those should be the people that make you feel like you are loved, like you are valued to be around, like your opinion means something. Because I know that we've all had friendships where you felt otherwise. Like your opinion meant literally nothing to them or they weren't even paying attention. Honestly, we've all done it. We've all done it. I'm not saying that people who like aren't paying attention to you or being like the best friends ever. I'm not saying that these are shitty people. We are all human. I'm sure they're amazing friends to like other people in their lives. But that's the bottom line is they're being amazing and they can with other people in their lives, but they can't with you. And I'm sorry. And I know that's awful to hear. And I love you, babe. And I'm so sorry. But if they cannot with you, you cannot with them. Stop trying with them and go to someone who can with you. It is the most relieving feeling ever when you meet someone and your energy is matched so perfectly. And then maybe, like you hang out, get coffee or something, and you text them later and you're like, it was amazing to hang out with you. I had a blast. Would you love to do it again? And they immediately text you back and they're like, yes, I love you so much. Like, do you want to come over for dinner? Or do you want to go to yoga in the morning? And they just suggest something. Those are the best people. And this is the type of person, guys. Like, I have a lot of amazing friends who are like this. And personally, I like to think I'm someone like that too, because I always like to be doing something. So if I'm with a friend, I usually try to suggest something. But, it's just saying, like, take interest in your friends. Like, ask them to do stuff. And, like, if you're not interested in hanging out with them, then okay. Like, but be nice to them. Like, don't be a dick and, like, tell them they deserve better if you fucking need to, if they still keep trying to hang out with you. But this is the podcast that should put an end to that, because I'm saying right here, right now, literally do not go away. Energy is not loved on and desired. Truthfully. Anyway, beautiful people, this goes for breakups too. I could do a whole podcast on breakups and I probably will, but you are probably not meant to date one or even the second person you date for your whole life. Like, you're probably not. Like, guys, I think I've had 4 boyfriends in the last 4 years because that was high school for you. Like, get getting my experience done so then I can, like, I'm like on a single streak right now because I don't really want to date until I figure out what I really want. Um, but anyway, if you and your ex break up, if it's meant to be, it'll be. Otherwise, fuck them. And holy shit, I just have to say this on here because I'm the world's biggest man hater. Sorry, unless you're like a certain group of men, like, I love you guys. But literally, if he is cheating on you, break up with him. Holy shit. It's absurd the amount of women I know that I went to high school with that are literally in a relationship where they're being cheated on right now. And imagine if I name dropped on here, guys. Haha. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. I would never do that. It really is sad. You guys are beautiful. Some man, woman, whoever will love you way more than that boy or girl who's cheating on you right now. Like, cheating is not part of a healthy relationship. I don't know why I'm still having to say this because I got cheated on the only time I know of, at least, when I was in like middle school. And I realized that shit was so humbling and awful and embarrassing for me that I literally was like, I've never let myself get cheated on again. Like, if you cheat on me, I'm kicking you so fast out the door. So fucking fast. Like, I don't even think I could consider getting with someone that would even have an energy of a cheater, though, if that makes sense. Anyway, guys, it's a beautiful Monday night. I am gonna go eat a quesadilla that I got earlier and maybe have like a margarita because it was Cinco de Mayo yesterday. And I don't know, I didn't have a margarita yesterday. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys, on Off Topic. We definitely got a bit off topic, but hey, we stayed around the main subject, which was how outgrowth in many relationships is normal. And I hope you got something valuable from today's pod. I did have to stop it for a bit and then come back. So sorry if it wasn't completely coherent, but hopefully it was because hey, it's called Off Topic for a reason, right? I get a bit off topic. But anyway, love you guys. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. And I cannot wait to get off topic about some new fun ass subject next week. So anyway, subscribe, follow if you like my content. Leave a comment or a rate if you want. But yeah, have an amazing rest of your week, guys.